So before introducing this session speaker, I just wanted to take a minute to remind you to be sure you enter the door prize drawing. Visit Pavilion A to leave your registration card and for the daily drawing. And don't forget to go to Pavilion A for the organic cooking demonstrations and kids activities. Finally, I would like to ask that you hold all questions until the end of the speaker's presentation. And if you do have a question, please come to the microphone so that it will be captured on the recording of this talk. Also, please take any trash you have with you and put in the recycling bins. Obviously, we think you can distinguish between trash and recycling. So thank everybody for coming. My name is Tom Fitzpatrick. I'm with the Texas Home Energy Rating Organization. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and have been there for a year. And our primary focus for this year has been to design and implement a comprehensive home energy audit program, which will be available statewide ultimately. What I'd like to do this morning is talk about a couple of things in fairly rapid succession here. First of all, I want to spend a few moments, even though I know everybody here is smarter than the average bear, I can't spend time in front of people without talking about the importance of the opportunity in energy efficiency, so we're going to talk a little bit about the why. And secondly, the why of a comprehensive audit is something that's different than, yes sir? Is that better? Thank you. Secondly, why a comprehensive audit as distinguished from any other kind of audit? There's a lot of things going on in the marketplace that are called audits, and some of them being much more useful and valuable than others. And I'm going to try to give you a little bit of information to make a distinction about what a comprehensive audit is and why it is of particular value to some of you. And on that point, and lastly, then we're going to go through quickly what should be included in a comprehensive audit, so you have a sort of a picture of, in the event that you are talking about it or shopping for it, you have an idea of what it is you should be looking for and talking about. So to get started on that, let me ask quickly, how many of you are homeowners in terms of the point of view you're representing here, and how many of you already had an audit and are just trying to find out how good a job was done for you? And how many of you are thinking about having an audit done in the relatively near future? Good. How many of you are like inspectors or auditors, raters, someone who is, okay. And how many are like real estate agents or someone who, or a consultant that people are asking information about, or green building consultants that people are coming to for advice about what they should be doing in the way of audits? Okay, so mostly homeowners, that's good. Why audit existing homes? It's real simple. It represents a huge opportunity for energy efficiency. The existing building stock is many times, orders of magnitude larger than the new building stock, even though we're talking about doing green buildings, zero energy buildings, and for the next 10 and 15 years, we're going to be approaching that net zero energy capability of new buildings. That huge pile of, we're doing 120 to 150,000 new buildings in Texas each year. We've got an existing building stock of 8.5 million existing homes that we have the potential to tap into. Having identified that there's opportunity out there, it's obvious that there is some help needed in order to take action to realize that energy efficiency potential. Let me show you quickly this slide of, this is not just the United States, this is the World Business Council on Sustainable Development's view of worldwide opportunities for business development that come from come in a carbon-constrained world, and I hope at this point everybody is working on some level of, we've got to get carbon emissions under control, greenhouse gases under control, and one of the most important ways to do that, you'll see, is the green bar at the top of this chart. The biggest chunk that's going to be shaved off of worldwide, that's going to be shaved off of that growth that is going to have to be, the growth in energy use that is going to have to be employed to support a raising population level and a raising comfort level for much of that population, aspiring, if not to the levels of convenience and comfort and excess that is sometimes evident in the Western world, they certainly want to have opportunities for improvement in their lifestyles, and we can expect that they're going to work toward that, greenhouse gas treaties aside. So worldwide, who's got most of that existing building stock that savings is going to have to come from? It is the Western world, it's the United States, and we have some of the most energy inefficient buildings in the world. Also, you'll see that end-use energy efficiency potential, that big green bar at the top, is larger than the next several opportunities of non-hydro renewable energy, hydropower, nuclear power, and improvements in generation efficiency on the electric grid. Energy efficiency has more potential for clean energy than all of those together. This is a snapshot of Texas. This one's a little dated. It was in 2007, a study that was done for to present to the Texas legislature by Optimal Energy. And it's a look at the ERCOT grid and projected peak demand on the ERCOT grid. And what you see, again, is in terms of dealing with the projected growth in demand, in lieu of building new generation capacity, in particular, where much of that generation capacity was intended to be built near metropolitan areas that are already in very serious air quality constrained. They have a variety of air quality problems, which are only made worse by closely locating coal-fired and even gas-fired generating capacity near them. You'll see that this was a picture of alternatives, and again, the very largest, there's huge potential to level off the demand on the grid with savings from efficiency from residential, commercial, and industrial. Basically level off all of the demand so that we would not need that additional generation capacity, and still be able to grow as a state, still be able to provide for all of the energy that's needed. You'll see also from this chart that the largest potential there of that energy savings potential is in residential energy efficiency. So what are the benefits? This doesn't change. In terms of our future, one of the greatest opportunities that we have together is to improve our end use of energy. So energy efficiency in our buildings is one of the greatest opportunities that we have. It lowers consumption and demand, lowers costs to individuals and to the aggregate population of the state, making it more economical to be here, live here, work here. It decreases air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, reduces the need for new power plants, and relaxes demand on the transmission grid. It slows the use of finite resources, and it allows us to expand the amount of renewable potential that we can load into the grid. Most importantly, in the current environment we're there in the last year since Western civilization fell apart last September, there's been a huge interest in stimulating local economies. And one of the things that doesn't change is you can't improve efficiency in a house from New York or California. You got to do it with local labor. So there's a huge potential for jobs and economic stimulus locally from focusing on energy efficiency. And as we've seen, there's been a fair amount of interest from local governments and local utilities in doing just that.
Sorry,
did I skip something?
That prior screen, it was up just for a moment.
You're in the city. You've got all these.
Okay. Again, one of the studies that I. Right here. Is that better? Sorry. One of the studies that I started with that World Business on Sustainable Development, or World Business Council on Sustainable Development, this quote comes from that. And one of the things that they talked about as a particular issue in realizing the potential of energy savings is it is one thing for all this information to be available. It is another thing entirely for that information to be understood and to be acted on. And one of the recommendations that came from that industry group was, in consistent studies, what was found was business and individual homeowners need advice in how to realize that potential and how to take advantage of the opportunities. It's one thing to have them pointed out, and it's another thing to be able to take the next step, be able to look at the range of choices and pick the ones that are really best for you, and to coordinate your response. And that is the role of an audit and an auditor, is to help an individual or an individual business in doing just that. The comptroller did a study last fall, and one of the things that she or her energy office actually produced a study, but the comptroller's press release, which this is quoted from, says that if we undertook this, if we undertook ratings for individual existing buildings, then that particular task group was really looked at the issue of the legislative